Okay, let's now move on to focusing on the Champions League final. This is a huge game. Liverpool against Real Madrid in Paris. Say no more. I mean, two European giants, a great European city, squaring off at the Stade de France. Nick, for Liverpool, how can they win this final? What are the keys for them? Because in midfield in particular, Fabinho, Thiago, struggling with injuries. That seems like kind of where this game's going to be won and lost, right?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm going to move past tactics almost immediately and say the key to me is that term we hear all the time, right? Mentality monsters. I do believe it's a little overblown. I believe there are a lot of teams who are mentality monsters when you're absolutely monstrous group of talent. I mean, Liverpool spent an awful lot of money on a really good, deep team. But this is a test. I just called Jurgen Klopp my manager of the year. Getting these boys who, they would never admit it. The quadruple was in their heads. They had been thinking about it for at least 2 months, if not the whole season. And I just think getting off the mat is going to be it's going to be a huge test of Klopp. In fact, I don't think he's a failure if they don't get off the mat because it's that hard to do. The only hope they have is that Real Madrid just kicking it back into, hey, it's the biggest game of the year after a couple of weeks of sipping pina coladas at the beach, as Joe likes to say, or whatever. I don't know what the drink is there, Spanish wine, but I'm saying, you know what I mean? Like umbrellas were involved is what I'm saying.
Sangria, probably a nice sangria. Okay. I can see Carlo Ancelotti dishing that out. Don't worry, guys. We can draw another couple of games in La Liga, but just make sure you're ready on May 28th in Paris. Andy, when it comes to Real Madrid, what's key for them? Because midfield trio there, Kroos, Casemiro, obviously Modric just dominate games, but Camavinga's played his part coming off the bench and really is an emerging talent. We knew he was great, but he's really shown it in this Champions League run. But for Madrid, I feel like there's some key battles there where they can get the better of Liverpool, be it Vinicius against Trent down the one flank, and then, of course, Benzema against Virgil van Dijk is an absolutely colossal battle, and especially with Van Dijk having some injury issues recently. So, yeah, I just feel like this is really different. This is really difficult to call because Liverpool, I think, are clearly the better overall team, but Real Madrid have the players that have more experience in these situations and can show up in moments of games, right? In a 5-10 minute chunk.
Yeah, some of them do. The Madrid squad is weird. There's a lot of 30-plus guys, and there's a lot of 24, 23 and under guys. There's a kind of the middle part of the squad is kind of missing, the link between those two generations, if you will. And so there is experience on one half of the squad, whereas with Liverpool, for the most part, a lot of them were around for at least one of the Champions League finals that they were in, the one that they won against Tottenham, and a lot of them were around for the first one against Real Madrid as well. So I think the experience is actually probably pretty even, maybe even shades slightly into Liverpool's favor. I think for Madrid, what I am most excited about is not for me personally, but for the world at large, to be really fully introduced to Camavinga. Just the level of player that this young, 19-year-old kid is, and that he has ascended to in some of the biggest games this season. He was so good in the semifinal in that second leg as they did what they did against Manchester City. I'm excited for that. I think it's about as even of a matchup as you can have. I think tactically it favors Liverpool. I think the narrative and just kind of the flow of the season, if you will, probably favors Real Madrid, because if I looked at Andy Robertson when he did the interview pitch side at Anfield on Sunday, Klopp, just the body language and the facial expression said, I'm done. I am tired. I am ready to be on that beach where Real Madrid were a couple of weeks ago. I bet he would probably say, if we could have a week on the beach and then we could begin a couple of weeks of preparation for this Champions League final, I'd be very happy with that. So maybe Real Madrid, by winning the title when they did, were able to take a little time off, rest, ramp back up slowly with a couple of La Liga games left, and then, build up to the climax of the season with the Champions League final.
You know what, though? This kind of works two ways. I feel like I was chatting with Robbie Mustoe about this after Championship Sunday. And so is it actually a good thing that Madrid are struggling through the end of the season and they've been resting players? Whereas Liverpool have been going full pout. They have their rhythm. They have been rotating the squad, but they're kind of in full flow right now. And it's kind of difficult, I think, if you're a professional athlete in any sport, to then just take a break and then go straight back into it at the highest level. These guys can, Benzema, Modric, all these top players, but that is a really interesting thing as well, which again makes it so even, because I feel like usually we'd say, oh, Real have been rested, they're fine. But I do feel like you lose a bit of rhythm, and maybe Liverpool might have that edge over them. Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah, hey Nick, the rest versus rust debate has made its way to England.
You know what? Yeah, I think there's a level of almost conditioning that comes to being that intense all the time, and maybe it is a little easier for Liverpool to say we go one more time. I'm thinking of that scene in Miracle where Herb Brooks gives them the 15th time.
Yeah.
You know, they have been there, and I do think that clicking back into gear. Maybe for 60 minutes, Liverpool, if they can get a lead, maybe that's it, and they just got to hold on. But man, to play for Jurgen Klopp and what he demands, rightfully so. It's why they're so good. I can't imagine having a whole lot left in the tank right now.
No, definitely not. Okay, let's predict who's going to win it then. Easy question. Andy, I'm going to start with you. Who's going to win the Champions League?
Real Madrid. I picked them before the knockout rounds. I'm going to stick with them.
Nick, do you agree with that?
Real Madrid, Liverpool give up big chances. We saw it against Wolves, and Karim Benzema hasn't been missing those lately.
You know what? I thought I was going to be the only one who was going to go for Real Madrid, and I remember Andy weeks ago picked them. So I think it's a clean sweep. I actually do think that here's a stronger prediction. I actually think Liverpool will go ahead, and then I think Real Madrid will do that thing where 25 minutes to go, they'll rally. Benzema will score a big goal. Then maybe Vinicius or Rodrigo or someone else will pop up with a winner. I honestly think that they just have that. We talked about it before, the air of destiny about them with this season, this team, the blend of youth and experience that they have. It just seems to be a bit of a perfect storm for Real Madrid, but it would not surprise me as well if Liverpool were 3 or 4-0 up at half time and just totally blew them away because they have that in their locker as well. But I'm with you guys. Go ahead.
Two fan bases who it always blows my mind because it just doesn't register for me. Two fan bases who want this trophy more than their league. It really feels like most years.
Yeah, and it just feels like a really perfect end to an amazing season in this competition and in Europe generally, with the two arguably biggest, most successful teams in this competition squaring off in Paris, a wonderful European city, and I think it's going to be a great game. Open. It's not going to be tight. I don't think it's going to be dour. It's going to be a lot of chances, a lot of good attacking play. And let's see what happens. But on Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com, we'll have you covered with all the latest Champions League final news, preview, how to watch information, and an analysis during the game and after it in Paris. It's going to be one heck of a way to finish the season, gents. And thanks for joining me all season. This has been amazing. And thanks everyone for watching Pro Soccer Talk. Really appreciate all your comments and just have a great summer. We'll be here, though. I just want to plug this. We're going to be talking about the transfer news throughout the summer. We're going nowhere. We're going to keep doing these shows throughout the summer months. So I look forward to seeing you all very soon. Gents, pleasure as always. Thanks for a great Premier League season. And thanks for another great Pro Soccer Talk. Take care. Cheers, guys.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch highlights all season long, and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend at 7 a.m. Eastern. And for even more content, head over to Peacock, where we've got live games, original series, and a dedicated round-the-clock Premier League channel featuring studio shows, classic matches, and much more.